How you guys doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the likes, the shares, the comments. Sorry we had a little bit fewer episodes this week. I just wanted to kind of delve a little bit more into like this message that was tainted before we got it, like everything, all the other information we get in this world. Before I get into it, though, I just want to say that I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you giving me your time. You know, the likes, the share, the comments, the feedback. I really appreciate it. I feel like this message about Jesus and the information that they hid from us is maybe something that we all need to know. You know, I find it interesting. It's always nice to check for information that they try to give us third party, which is all the information that we get, and we're supposed to trust these assholes with, giving us the information that's supposed to help us become better people and better human beings, but it seems like they filter out all the information that makes that possible. Everything is about an agenda or an ideology or whatever bullshit they're trying to push on us. So I just kind of want to dive into more about those hidden books that we were talking about in the last episode when we were talking about the messages that they stole from Jesus and how they pretty much turned them into their own agenda. So we'll just dive right in. You guys tell me what you think about it. Hopefully, like I said, it's information that helps you grow as a person and as a human being, and realize that everything that we're taught and told is for a reason and for an agenda, and not the agenda that God had a purpose for us. So before Christianity, before the church, before the councils, the creeds, the edits, the translations, there was a man teaching a message so powerful, so liberating, so spiritually dangerous that the empire killed him for it. And then the same empire rewrote him. Tonight, we're going to get into the hidden books, the text the early church banned, burned, buried, or declared heresy because they didn't create obedient followers. They created awakened human beings. This is the Jesus you were never supposed to meet. In 1945, in the Egyptian desert, a jar was found containing ancient manuscripts, text older than most of the New Testament. These weren't fiction, these were early Christian writings, many from 1st and 2nd century. They include the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Philip, the Secret Book of James, the Didash, the Gospel of Hebrews, the Ebionite texts, and the Q source. These books weren't rejected because they were false. They were rejected because they were entirely too empowering. They taught no hierarchy, no priesthood, no fear, no hell, no obedience to institutions, direct access to God, inner awakening, equality between men and women, and a Jesus who wanted students, not worshipers. This is Jesus before the empire. The core message was that the kingdom is within you. The line that could have ended religion before it started. The kingdom is inside you, and it is outside you. This is spiritual dynamite. It means God is not a temple, God's not in a church, God is not controlled by priests, and God is not accessed through rituals. God is not something you earn, God is your inner state of awareness. This one teaching destroys religious hierarchy, institutional control, fear-based obedience, and the need for intermediators. If the divine is within you, no one can control your soul. This is why the book was banned. Jesus taught awakening, not worship. Become what I am. In the hidden books, Jesus never says, worship me, I am God and you are not. Believe in me or burn. Instead, he says things like, whoever drinks from my mouth will become as I am, in the Gospel of Thomas. Meaning, you can reach the same level of consciousness I have reached. That is not religion, that is transformation. Jesus wasn't building a church, he was building awakened humans. Mary Magdalene, the student who understood him, the disciple the church erased. In the Gospel of Mary is one of the most explosive texts ever found. It shows Mary Magdalene was Jesus' closest disciple. She understood his teachings better than the men. Jesus taught her privately. The male disciples were jealous. Peter openly challenged her authority. In in the text, Jesus says to Mary, "The mind that sees." She wasn't a prostitute. She wasn't a sinner. She wasn't a side character. She was a teacher, a leader, a mystic. And the early church, built by men in patriarchal empire, erased her. Jesus taught reincarnation and the eternal soul. You've lived before, you'll live again. In the hidden books, Jesus teaches the soul existed before birth. The soul continues after death, and the soul returns when it awakens. This appears in the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the early writings of Origen, and Jewish Christian mysticism. Reincarnation was mainstream in early Christianity. It was banned in 553 CE because a soul that reincarnates cannot be controlled. A soul that doesn't fear hell cannot be manipulated. A soul that grows across lifetimes does not need a priest. Fear is a tool, and reincarnation removes that fear. Jesus taught that sin is ignorance and not guilt. You're not broken. In the hidden books, Jesus never teaches original sin, eternal damnation, human depravity, and guilt as starvation. Instead, he teaches, there is no sin. You only fail to see the truth. Gospel of Mary. Sin equals ignorance. Salvation equals awakening. This is psychology. It's not punishment. The church needed guilt to control people. Jesus taught liberation from that guilt. Jesus taught more of a direct experience from God. Know yourself. In the secret book of James, Jesus says, don't rely on scripture, don't rely on teachers, and don't rely on tradition. Seek direct experience. He taught meditation, inner silence, contemplation, mystical union, and personal revelation. This is why mystics were persecuted. A mystic does not need a priest, or a church, or a religion. Jesus taught that heaven and hell are states of consciousness. The fire is inside you. In the hidden books, Jesus describes heaven as an awakening, hell as an ego, fear and ignorance, not after death, but right now. You live in hell when you're constantly fighting and feeding your ego, because that is ignorance. Fear of anything is ignorance. And your ego is the thing you fear to lose the most. It's the thing that needs gratitude. It's the thing that needs love. It's the thing that seeks ownership or materialism. You know, without fear, you lose the tool of control. Because fear stops people from doing everything, you know. Jesus taught that women and men are equal. Make the male and female into a single one. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, when you make the male and female into a single one, then you will enter the kingdom. This is not about gender, it's about integration. Masculine and feminine energies. Logic and intuition. Strength and compassion. Action and stillness. This is inner wholeness. The church rejected this because it empowered women. The message they couldn't kill, regardless of how much they try to change it, regardless of how much they lie to us, the message is still this. And here's the truth. The hidden books don't show a different Jesus. They show the original Jesus. A Jesus who taught inner divinity, awakening, consciousness, equality, liberation, direct access to God, no hierarchy, no fear, no guilt, no middlemen. A Jesus who didn't want worshipers, he wanted awakened human beings. And that message, the one buried for 2,000 years, is still alive. Because the truth doesn't die. It just waits to be discovered. Now, the thing is that we're so stuck inside of the boxes that they create for us from the time that we're born. Okay, this is what I like to call. I tell my kids it's like a snake in a box theory, right? So, say you have this snake that can get 10 foot long, right? Well, just say that you get that snake from the time that it's a baby snake, brand new, a couple inches long or whatever, and you stick it in a 5 foot cage. All right. You never get a bigger cage for the snake. You just keep it in the 5 foot cage. Now, this snake that has the capacity to grow 10 feet only grows a little bit under 5 feet because it doesn't have the room to grow. Now, these boxes they put us in are the same thing, starting with religion, starting with education. And it starts when we're young, We're 4 years old, we go to school, and, now that I'm a parent, I realize that now. And I have kids that are in school, and I have kids that I homeschool, and I can see the difference in them, okay? I can see the things that they pick up from the outside world versus the things that they pick up just being here. And that is the proof that I need for myself that the box actually does exist, because we're 4 or 5 years old and we get thrown into school and we have to sit there for, 6 to 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, that's a fucking job. And then you think about it, and that's exactly what they're programming you to do. To go work for a company for 8 to 10 hours a day and not complain and just take orders and follow directions, which is exactly what they make you do in school. It's exactly what they make you do in school. And you wonder why. And then you look at it as an adult and you're like, wow, they really don't teach us shit. And that's the same thing for when you go to church. You're going to church and they're teaching you all these things about being religious and how America is this Christian country, but you look around and it doesn't really seem like a very Christian place. I mean, we're bombing countries. In 20 years, we've killed 6 million people. We're currently at war with Iran for some fucking reason that nobody seems to know. We've got them to where they're blocked off the fucking strait. So now the world is going to start suffering. And it's like, it's just, the only thing that Americans care about is profit and their stupid fucking stock market that doesn't even show the actual real economy. That just shows how rich people are moving their money around. Okay? And rich people actually have a little bit more money to move around because they're profiting amazingly off of this war while Americans suffer. In fucking California, I think gas is over $7 a fucking gallon. Like, bro, for what? So we can bomb more people, so we can kill more people as a Christian country. That's what we're doing. A country founded on Christian traditions, they say. And here we are again we're at year 250, and for 200 years we've been at war. 40 different things across the world. I think about 20 million lives dead, probably close to 50 million displaced or something like that. And, it just doesn't seem like a very Christian thing, okay? I understand that sometimes war can be necessary, but not as necessary as they have it. And then when we do go to war, especially nowadays, we got all this technology with surveillance and facial recognition, and they could take out a single person with a drone from hundreds of miles away without even seeing the drone itself. I find the idea that we have to have so many innocent women and children and casualties, I just find it that's not only unnecessary, but it's completely immoral and wrong and illegal, as a matter of fact. But it's like nobody fucking cares, And then when you say something about one government, it's like that means that you agree with the other government. Like, no, I don't fucking agree with any of them. Okay? If you listen to what we just talked about in here, where it was God's message, where we are all God's children created equally. Okay? And that Christ resides inside of every one of us. Are you exercising the godly part of you? Like these religious fanatics that are fucking killing people and, condoning the bombing, no matter what the cause is, no matter what the reason. All right? I just don't understand it. Okay? Here we just had a New York Times article that got released that talks about how the Israeli guards treat Palestinian prisoners. Okay? I won't get into details on that because it's pretty fucking disgusting. But, this is something that's been going on back and forth from both sides. And these are both supposed to be religious, fanatical people that believe in an actual higher power. Okay? I understand that on the Muslim side, they become martyrs for the people who have died. And I understand that. In Israel, some of them will call them terrorists. And I can understand how you call them terrorists. The activities they do are terroristic activities. Okay? Pretty plain and simple. But, like I also explained to somebody, the terrorist to one person might just be a man who watched his entire family die simply for living in a region they had no choice but to live in. And they watched a bomb come in from some foreign country for some bullshit fucking reason, and it killed their entire family. And they're all that's left. So what do you have to live for? If that happened to any one of the families, to anybody who listens to this podcast or ever comes back to this video and actually thinks about it, if you had some foreigner bomb your country and it killed your entire family and you're the only one who survived and you lost everything, then you were forced out of the area that you were living in after they wiped out your entire family. And by most human nature, most people would respond to that very violently. Okay? And to me, I believe, this is my opinion, but this is what the Palestinians have faced since, I guess the start of 1918 when they signed the Balfour Declaration, and everything else leading up until that point was the creation of the State of Israel. And they gave land that was already occupied by people. So, in a modern time, compared to when we colonized America and we came here, well, we didn't come here. There was people specifically that came here. They wiped out 250,000 people in Haiti. I'm pretty sure the first people to discover land here landed somewhere around Haiti, and they were met by some Arawak Indians. Some like 250,000 of them dead. All right? So, and this is back in a time when religion is supposed to be one of the things that's, controls everybody. And the people who are supposed to fear hell and fear sin and fear death are committing these acts of violence under the name of religion or whatever the hell they call it, okay? Your ethnicity, your religion, it doesn't fucking matter, all right? That's all separation. Separation from oneness, which we are. And that separation leads to violence, and violence only leads to more violence. You can see that in inner cities where you have one act of violence turns into 10 because somebody thinks that they were right in the act of violence, or their feelings are hurt because somebody got hurt and it was, doing some stupid shit, and you just blow that up on a global scale, and that's what we have. We have hate, and we have violence, and we have negativity and ignorance, and everybody's so angry. All right? This isn't God's world. This isn't what he meant for you to be. When it says to find yourself, you have to find yourself, not be the person that the world wants you to be, not be the person that your Sunday school teachers told you was going to be a good person if you didn't sin or didn't do this or didn't do that. Meanwhile, they shunned away gay people for the longest time, or they shunned away anything different or a different religion or a different ethnicity, And we all just breed more hate and more hate and more violence and more violence. People freak out over bullshit, poisonous fucking food at McDonald's. Like, literally, that's the point of negativity and anger you're at in this world, that you're literally fighting with somebody about poisonous food that you're waiting in line to pay for. I'm sure that's what God wanted from his people when he made this beautiful creation, this intricate creation that heals itself and can teach itself and can evolve itself into something better than he's ever created before. And this is what we've limited ourselves to. We didn't put ourselves in a 5-foot box. We put ourselves in a 1-foot box. A fucking 6x6 inch fucking box. With no room to grow. Because we're busy fighting with each other and hating each other and blaming each other. When most of the shit that's happening has nothing to do with the normal person. The average human being that just wants to live, work, and take care of their life. Okay? That's what most people want to do. They want to not keep paying more for the same shit we've been had for the last 100 fucking years, yet the price keeps going up, the quality keeps going down, and the amount of shit that you get for the amount of money that you spend keeps going down as well. Yet products don't change, nothing changes, just the amount of money that it costs, yet our money doesn't go up with the inflation of groceries. So, profits go up, prices go up, inflation goes up, but motherfucker, the money that we make never goes up. Meanwhile, these companies are profiting massive amounts, but none of us make more fucking money, or they don't make gas cheaper after buying off our fucking politicians. You don't help out their constituents, and this is what Jesus talked about, why he didn't like a hierarchy, or why he didn't believe in outside governance, because this is what it leads to. It leads to a small percentage of the population basically gaining astronomical wealth off of a different part of the population. So you're taking from one side and giving it to another astronomically in the biggest transfer of wealth and health and resources that the world has ever seen. Okay? It's literally like fucking Hunger Games out here. In one side of the world, they're bombing little children, fucking buildings with children in them, whether it's fucking Gaza or Lebanon or Iran or Libya or Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or Yemen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. The bombs keep going. The profits keep going up. And meanwhile, the regular human beings are the ones that are suffering when there's so many more of us than there are of them. And if we found the power within us, the power God gave us, the light that's inside you, we could change the world. But you can't do that until you change yourself, until you stop being a greedy, arrogant, ego-ridden prick that thinks that you're always right, because you're not. All right? And it's your ego that's killing your relationships. It's your ego that's killing your jobs. It's your ego that's killing yourself. You're too good for this. You're too good for that person. You're too good. You probably don't make half the connections you can make because you think you're better than the next person, and you ain't shit. Most people don't even know who they are. Most people are who you want, who the world wants you to be. You're who they want you to be at work. You're who they want you to be at home. You're who your girlfriend wants to be, or your partner, or your kids, or your teachers, or your jobs. You're who everybody else wants you to be. Not who Jesus created you to be, which is yourself. Growing at an astronomical rate every single day, taking in a lesson for your soul to grow so you don't have to keep coming back here, so you can evolve as a human being. So wake up, evolve, love yourself, love your neighbors, stop the violence, stop the hate. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. All right, thanks.